Hi, I'm Jim Butler.
I'm Kathy Turlau.
I'm Steve Trelaw.
My name is Jessica Dodson.
I'm Jim Brandel.
I've lived in Knoxville over 42 years now.
Living here in Pella for like 56 years.
I moved to Pella. My dad took a job at Central College when I was 7.
I grew up in Pella, so I've lived in and around Pella all my life.
I've been in Knoxville for 2 years, and we moved from Colorado Springs, Colorado. We wanted something more family-oriented, more of a community where we would be seen and recognized. Everybody seems to just embrace one another and embrace our differences too, which is something you don't see a lot in small towns.
Knoxville uniqueness goes in several different directions, in my opinion. The racetrack and the Hall of Fame obviously is one big unique factor, but I think the biggest thing that makes Knoxville unique is the people. Knoxville people are the kind of people that when somebody's in need, it seems like the town rallies around it.
I think there's a lot of things that make Pella unique. We know how to work together. There are people who are visionary and see things that could happen, and then there's a whole other group who can make it happen. And we've seen this over and over in the years that we've lived here.
I had a bump on my tongue, and I thought it was just maybe a little canker sore, but it wouldn't go away. And so I went to my dentist, of all people, and said, hey, do you know what this is? And he said no, but he did a scrape biopsy, and the results came back inconclusive. So he sent me to an oral surgeon in Des Moines, and I went there, had my appointment, and I walked in, and the oral surgeon came in and looked and says, I'd like to have you see a head and neck specialist. I said, well, you set up an appointment and then let me know when it is? And he goes, no, they're waiting for you. That was my first sign that something probably wasn't good. He looked in my mouth and he said, I don't know what that is, but I know it's not supposed to be there.
And the test came back and it was conclusive that I definitely had cancer. So the question was, okay, how many sessions will it take to take care of this? And he said, well, I think we can do that between 25 and 30 sessions.
When I was first diagnosed with cancer, it was May of 2023, and I had called Dr. Robin Vandervoort, and I said, you know what, I've got concerns. Can you get me in? And she got me in right away. And then she also got me into imaging for a mammogram and a biopsy. And then shortly thereafter, she called and said, this is not the news we were hoping for, but you have HER2 positive breast cancer. So we went to Clive, is where we had our radiation. So, it was a good 54 miles or something like that, to get every day.
I had my first mammogram, and they called me up a little bit later. They're like, hey, we'd like to get some more images, just to take a look, some deeper images. There may be calcifications. And go in, get those taken. They're like, well, let's do a biopsy. Did the biopsy, and then a couple of days after that, I'm like, oh yeah, it's invasive carcinoma of the breast. You have a bunch of unknowns upon that first diagnosis. I mean, it's just someone on a phone call saying, hey, you've got this. You don't know how big, you don't know how stage, you don't know anything. So the best thing that I could have done at that moment was to just say, okay, what's my next step? And then I had radiation. That was Monday through Friday for 4 weeks. So I had about 20 treatments for radiation.
Life as we knew it just completely went put on pause. But, the community that came around us was amazing. I mean, over the top.
There were more good days than bad, which I had not anticipated. I would say that, I had a really bad week after chemo, but then there were a couple weeks that I could do some things. And we just knew that no matter how it turned out, what the outcome would be, God would walk with us through whatever it was.
From my house to John Stoddard was about 52 miles. So it was a round trip was about 105 miles. Do that 5 times a week. Do the arithmetic, that's over 500 miles a week.
And I had 6 weeks of radiation. It was done at Mercy One in Des Moines, 5 days a week, 6 weeks in a row. So for those 6 weeks, I never missed a day of work. I went to work every morning. Robin came and picked me up at 1 o'clock every afternoon. And we went to Des Moines and came back, and then she dropped me back off at the radio station, and I'd finish the day. And then I come home and sit around and really do nothing because I was wiped out.
A lot of people don't do the radiation because of how much of an undertaking it is. And that radiation, it buys years. It ensures that I get to see my son grow up. Having the ability to have more treatments locally means more people get treatment.
I love the idea of having the radiation and the imaging facility available here in Pella, not just for our residents, but also for the towns that come to Pella Regional and are affected by what we can offer, that are maybe in a smaller town that there's no way they could have any kind of facility for cancer treatment. So to have that for our neighbors is huge.
2 local hospitals like Knoxville Hospital and Clinics and Pella Regional going together to do a project like this, I think is pretty unheard of. And then you look at other communities our size, nobody has anything like this. So it's gonna give Knoxville and Marion County something unique.
I think this is a good way to show that the 2 communities can cooperate and do something very, very significant for the residents of Marion County.
As far as supporting this project of bringing a cancer center radiation to Pella, we would just truly want to encourage you to be a part of this. Most of us have been affected by cancer, either in a loved one or a friend or even yourselves. Just would make such a difference to have it locally and close near our neighborhood. It would be such a tremendous gift to our community.